Marketing agencies are scamming contractors every single day, and the way that they're doing it is hidden in plain sight. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to expose it once and for all so you can understand why so many contractors have been burned in the past by agencies and how you can avoid it altogether. Now, if you're new here, my name is John Cameron. I'm the founder of the Contractor Marketing Mastermind, which is a program that has helped over 100 contractors generate millions in sales without having to hire a marketing agency. So if you're a residential contractor who is thinking about working with an agency, or maybe you're one that's already doing so, you're going to want to pay close attention because once you see what I'm about to show you, you simply can't unsee it. So what happens is residential contractors go, you know what? I want to be able to book more work. I want to put more food on the table for my family. I want to book more work for my crews to go and do. If I could book an extra $20,000 a month and my typical margins are 30%, I'm going to make $6,000 extra dollars in profit every single month. But that's not really how it works. See, if you're going to grow your business using paid advertising, which I'm a fan of, I think you should do it. I think relying on just word of mouth and referrals is a bad business move. You have to find a way where you can turn a little wheel and book more work, and when you have too much work, you can turn it down. But it does cost you money. So typically, you should expect that it's going to cost you somewhere between 5 and 10% of the cost of the job to go and get it. So if you want to book $20,000 worth of work and your cost of acquisition is 10%, that means you have to put $2,000 into ads in order to book $20,000, which does hit your profit. That means that instead of making $6,000, you're going to make $4,000. But to me, I think that it is worthwhile to do that because I would rather make $4,000 and have a predictable source of work whenever I needed it than to make the $6,000 and it's kind of just hit or miss, feast one month, famine the next. And if you're watching this video, you probably agree because you're considering working with an agency, so you expect that it's going to cost you some money to make money. But here's where it all goes wrong. This is what happens when you hire an agency, because you're still going to have this cost. You're still going to have to spend probably 5 to 10% in order to go and get customers. But you also have to pay the agency. And typically an agency, they're going to charge you somewhere around $2,000 a month, which means that your cost now between spending money on ads, which you're still going to have to do, and paying the agency is now $4,000, which then means that your cost is not 10%, but it's 20%. And worst of all, your profitability on those jobs doesn't drop to 20%. It's now going to drop all the way down to 10%. And the truth is that most of the time when I talk with people, they're not spending $2,000 a month on ads and $2,000 on an agency. What's typically happening is they're probably spending $500 to $1,000 a month. So let's just say, for example, you're putting $1,000 into ads and you gave the agency $2,000. In that case, you're not making 30%. You're making 0. And this is why so many people get burned, is because if you did this every month, you would have an extra $120,000 in sales. And the agency would go, look, we're getting these great results. They put $12,000 into ads and they booked $120,000 worth of work. Or maybe it's even better. Let's say they're twice as good and it's now 5% cost of acquisition instead of 10. The problem still remains. You're making 5% profit. So you went and you called the leads, you did the bids, you put together all of the numbers, you went and picked up all the materials, you dealt with the client, you finished the project, you did amazing work, you produced $10,000 worth of work that month, and you made an extra $500. To me, that's just not worth it. And it gets so much worse when you start looking at what most cases are, which is that they give $2,000 to an agency and then they put $500 a month into ads, and they're actually out of pocket. They're doing all this work and they're just losing money. Now, there are some cases where it does make sense to hire an agency. So as biased as I am, as much as I hate marketing agencies, there are some cases where it can start to make sense and the impacts just aren't that big. Chances are you're probably not that person, but I'll just show you so you can get a sense of why some people would choose to. Where it starts to make sense is when you're giving way more money to Facebook or to Google than you give towards the agency. My biggest gripe with marketing agencies is they promise them the world. They say that you're going to book an extra $20,000 a month. You just have to give us $2,000 a month. But they leave out the fact that they make no money on those jobs. It's just not sustainable. But when you're booking $100,000 a month and you put $10,000 into ads and you give an agency $2,000, really the cost difference is not that big. It's instead of a cost of acquisition of 10%, it's 12%. And instead of making 20%, it's 18% profit. So it's not that big of a change in your profitability. Whereas with most people, like I said, they make half as much money. If you put 2,000 into ads, 2,000 towards the agency, you're making half as much money. And it gets much, much worse if you're actually putting 1,000 into ads and 2,000 into an agency. Change in profit is 100% in that case. So I wanted to make this video because you got to do these numbers for yourself. You got to go through and you got to evaluate what is your normal profitability, and then expect that you're going to spend somewhere between 5 and 10% in order to acquire a customer. Some trades are lower, like higher ticket stuff can be lower than that, but you're going to spend somewhere between 5 to 10 typically. And if you give the agency this money, what are you going to be left with at the end of the day? Because you can go and you can book all of this work, but if it's not meaning more dollars in your pocket, if it's not increasing your bottom line, your profit, it's not worth doing. I would rather personally produce 3 times less and make 3 times more. To me, the thing that matters more than anything is what hits my bottom line. And for most people, they spend way more money on agency fees than they put towards promoting their business, and it just drowns them. And that's why so many people, if you go in any Facebook group with contractors, you'll see how many people have been burned by marketing agencies in the past. And it's because they didn't know what they were getting themselves into. So I wanted to make this video showing you what happens when you choose to hire a marketing agency to help grow your business. Now, like I said, I'm a big believer in paid advertising, which is why I put together a 100% free course that walks through step by step how to launch your first Facebook ad and start bringing in work without having to hire a marketing agency at all. So if you want to get that, you can click the link down below and you can join the free group. I think at this point, there's like 700 contractors who are in this group learning how to do this for themselves. So if you want to become one of them, then you can click it down below, fill in a couple questions, and you'll be in no time. So with that said, I will see you in the next video. And if you found this helpful, I'd really appreciate if you subscribed. Talk soon.